Peace. There has never been a simpler concept, more unattainable in all of human existence. Peace. So beautiful, yet so easily tossed aside and trampled on by those who do not value it. Those who do not value peace above money, pride, status, or power. Those who do not value others as much as they value themselves are often found guilty of killing peace, destroying relationships, and disrupting unity among communities. We are all convicts in the eyes of peace, needing to be made right with her perfect standard as we live amongst a world crippled with conflict. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, and fellow lovers of peace, my name is Ben Williams, and I ask you in humility to listen to this young man for the following few moments as I attempt to pull and persuade you in the direction I find most attractive regarding the modern person's work in cultivating peace and responding to conflict. I have a story to tell you. It was quite some time ago, and I was in the basement of my house. I was playing with army men and Lego, manipulating the pieces whichever way I pleased. One moment they were up in the air, and the next they came crashing down as my imagination spun and jumped from canyons to starships. But my fictitious world came to a screeching halt when my little brother, perhaps 3 at the time, interrupted me. He stole a character of mine, waddling away on the basement carpet as fast as his rolled and chubby legs could carry him, his slobbery fist clenching a Lego man that was destined to end up in the jowls of his face. But I was too quick for him. I took my revenge instantaneously, and in an act I am not proud to have committed, knocked my little brother to the ground and retrieved my shaken but not broken Lego man. All that was left of my little brother was a puddle of tears, crying for the consoling words of my mother. Peace had been broken. The ideal situation for the both of us had not been reached. My little brother was hurt. He had no Lego men to play with. I felt guilty because I had hurt him, and I had no one to share my imaginative world with. There had been conflict between us, even if it was just in the form of childhood pestering. However, we all know that there are greater forms of conflict that lie wait behind closed doors, ready to pounce. Conflicts that level cities, destroy nations, and split people groups in half. These conflicts do not erupt in Lego Man quarrels, but in wars, genocides, and other great injustices. These great lions of evil and conflict often breed in environments that do not fight to maintain peace and respond adequately to violence and disagreement. My contention? I believe that this fight, this struggle for peace, will not be won in the diplomatic field nor in the political theater. It will not be won by my brothers and sisters who protest in the streets and storm the gates of oppression, pleading for a piece of paper with a signature. No. Real peace will be won when love reigns in the heart of each individual. When each and every one of us come to recognize the wisdom in Gandhi's words, when he says an eye for an eye will only make the world blind. So even when Lego men are stolen, even when conflict seems like the only option and revenge the only solution for putting the world right again, we must remember that there is never justification for valuing a person lesser than what they are worth. People are priceless, and it is high time we begin to treat each other as such. So where do we begin? I have 3 points that I believe are essential for conflict resolution and maintaining peace. Firstly, we must have proactive work in our treatment of conflict. We cannot be naive, my friends, to assume that the great injustices of the past are stuck in the past, or that our own social circles will not fall apart due to disagreement. Wherever there are people, there is an opportunity for conflict. We must constantly communicate and be vigilant in the equal sharing of ideas and perspectives. Wherever there is poor communication and people cannot voice their opinion, there is a high likelihood conflict will arise. If there can be proactive negotiation and courtesy before the seedlings of a conflict are planted, and each person and their opinion is heard and valued within the community, the likelihood that conflict will arise will be lowered drastically, and the thorn bush of disagreement will not destroy our communities. Secondly, our reaction to conflict must be one of justice and grace. We must be quick to listen and very slow to prescribe discipline. When people are hurt and ties broken, we must not immediately categorize people into groups of victim and oppressor, of criminal and bystander. Much too often, a complicated situation is made simple when people are shoved into boxes. Oftentimes, the labeling of people does much more harm than good when people are written off as troublemakers or victims of an episode of conflict. In order for relationships to be mended, we must understand where people are coming from. Try to understand instead of condemn. And finally, in order for peace to be maintained, there must be sacrifice. There is no community without sacrifice, no relationship without selflessness. Conflict resolution begins with a conversation that leads to action, and that action must always involve sacrifice. I would give 1,000 Lego men for my brother. If I could redo that basement quarrel, I would, but I can't. However, I was able to share my toys and sacrifice my Lego men from then on, most of the time. In conclusion, I ask not for ground-shattering self-denial or a warlike assault on conflict. I ask only for a posture of love and dignity given to mankind by mankind for the sake of peace and human flourishing. Because if we loved each other as much as we loved our slobbery, Lego-stealing, chubby little brothers, conflict would not stand a chance. Thank you.